Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan, and this is the top 15 90s anime that will make you nostalgic for your childhood. Today, anime is mainstream. Long gone are the days that you would be made fun of by your peers for watching anime or reading manga. Today, it is easy for people who are eagerly waiting for the next season of Attack of Titan, or celebrities to talk about their favorite anime series on Twitter. Today's video shall take you back to the 90s, an era 30 years ago when anime had begun to make an appeal worldwide, with the release of several insane shows such as Cowboy Bebop and One Piece, and the arsenal for the shows in this era is possibly one of the best. Marked by its art style and unique concepts, the 90s was a golden era for anime. Literally, for each genre, there was an anime. You want sports? Slam Dunk. Want mecha? Mobile Suit Gundam. How about action? Dragon Ball Z. You like magical girls? Sailor Moon. And they are all classic anime that have made a legacy for themselves. No matter how advanced the animation gets today, and how many more times the shonen genre is revised over and over, many of us find nostalgia dragging us towards the classics from the 90s. And this time, the nostalgia isn't one where we were only reminded of better times, but it is one where we are reminded of arguably better shows. To be honest, you don't need to have an emotional pull for the good old days to appreciate the brilliance of the anime that were released during this era. So, when you find it super easy to access a pair of Hanafuda earrings online to cosplay as Tanjiro from living far, far away in Japan, take a look back at all those who paved the way for it. Before diving into the content, we would like to make a very small request to our viewers. Please subscribe to Marvelous Videos, like and comment on our videos, and press the bell icon to be notified whenever we upload a video. We would be grateful to you, and we hope to bring you the best nerdy content. And with that, we're now going to get right into today's video.
For a hot dog.
Yeah, I can see that. Just keep it.
Cowboy Bebop, 1998. 1998's Cowboy Bebop is a 26-episode seinen anime series about a bounty hunting crew traveling through space in the year 2071 in their spaceship, Bebop. Bounty hunter Spike Spiegel is the main character, who lives on bounty to bounty, and is aided by his partners Jet Black, Ed, Faye Valentine, and the dog Ian. The story dives into the tragedy of the characters. Leave it to anime to craft quite a heartbreaking backstory. Life in 2071 is one where space travel is commonplace, but the people still live in poverty. The team partakes in adventures from planet to planet. If you want epic space battles, Cowboy Bebop has got you covered. But sometimes the quietest scene can make the loudest noise. Melancholy is big in the theme, with Spike's internal sadness taking over. The idea of our pasts catching up to us, no matter how much we try to escape it, is ever present. However, that's not all there is to it. Fluid animation, action sequences, comedy, and, most importantly, Yoko Kanno's insane soundtrack, where jazz, blues, hip-hop, country, and a ton of other genres come together, make Cowboy Bebop one of the best animes ever. Reality is bitter, but it's better to deal with the harshness with some jazz, especially with the help of the 8-minute masterpiece that we know as Space Lion. Normally, dubs can be quite disappointing when it comes to anime. Yes, we are looking at you, One Piece. However, Cowboy Bebop has one of the best dubs in anime history. In fact, many will tell you that the dub is actually better than the sub. This, along with the 26 episodes, paved the way for a fantastic storytelling in this space opera, space western show. Netflix has released the trailer for a live-action Cowboy Bebop. And before you think that it will once again be disappointing, like the live-action movies for Death Note, as well as Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, well, check it out immediately. It is brilliantly executed, and you will not regret it. BERSERK, 1997. Based on Kentaro Miura's manga series that has been running since the 1980s, BERSERK is another revered seinen anime series. It aired for 25 episodes, and has been able to amass substantial amounts of critical and commercial acclaim. The premise for this show is a pseudo-medieval fantasy land. Midland has been at war with the Tudor Empire for 100 years. A swordsman named Guts joins the Band of the Hawk, a mercenary company, and meets Griffith, who wishes to be the king of Midland. What's strange about Berserk is that the show spoils itself by letting the audience know about Griffith being a bad king. However, the impending doom becomes the primary focus of the show, making the audience quite eager to see it, even though they are fully aware of what's about to come. If you're someone who doesn't like to watch something when it gets spoiled, please do not give up on Berserk. If anything, the strong character writing will have your attention wrapped around its fingers. The world of Berserk does not have magic. It revolves around Griffith's ambition to be the king of Midland. Guts wants to have a goal, and the other characters have prominent goals as well. Griffith, being a commoner, is opposed to nobles who do not approve of his rise to power. As seinen is written for a more mature audience, Berserk often deals with political scheming and plotting, and a lot of tragedy. Some are annoyed by how Berserk ended mid-climax, as Guts, who is now a black swordsman, sets off with his quest for vengeance against the God Hand and the Apostles at the end of the series. And it was an intentional move for the series. Many found it incomplete, while others were mesmerized by the shock value. However, you've got to respect the guts that it took, pun intended, to end the series that way. Dragon Ball Z, 1990. You've seen it, your mother's seen it, your grandmother's seen it, and let's be honest, your children will probably see it too. Dragon Ball is a top-tier classic anime by mangaka Akira Toriyama, and with Z, the power scaling gets elevated to a whole new level. The story might not be comparable to other deep and overly emotional anime, but that's not what Dragon Ball Z is all about. It is a classic battle shonen that specializes in some of the best fight sequences in history, and some of the strongest characters in history as well. Not to mention some of the most insane power-ups in history, as Goku and his friends and family defend Earth against terribly strong villains, like Frieza, Cell, and Buu. This also gives birth to a classic rivalry between the beloved protagonist Goku and the brooding antihero Vegeta, which popularized the format where the shonen MC always has a rival. Gon and Killua, Midoriya and Bakugo, you get the drill. As Vegeta trains day and night to outclass Goku, he is never shown beating a main villain. Several fans find themselves to be annoyed by this factor, and defeating characters like BBD does not count. However, Vegeta's complex character does give the fans an interesting character arc to follow. Take that! With most of the characters being one-dimensional, Piccolo and Vegeta starting off as antagonistic characters but gradually changing adds weight to the storytelling. And then there's the fact that Goku is killed off during the Cell Saga, after which his son, Gohan, takes over the fighting and ends up defeating Cell. Similar to Cowboy Bebop, Dragon Ball Z has an excellent English dub that surpasses the original Japanese dub, a rare feat for anime.
He did it! Cell's energy has completely vanished!
And with Dragon Ball Z comes one of the best comeback arguments of all time. Any character can be strong, be it Superman from DC, Hulk from Marvel, or Roronoa Zoro from One Piece, but can they beat Goku? One Piece, 1999. If you want to scare off any newbie anime fan, ask them to watch One Piece. With almost 997 episodes to its arsenal, with a very small filler percentage, the manga is still not over. However, this allows Eiichiro Oda to go crazy with his world building, making it one of the best of all time. And it's not surprising that One Piece is the highest selling manga of all time. Every shonen protagonist has a goal he preserves to achieve. For Monkey D. Luffy, it is holding the title of the Pirate King. He gets the superpower of stretching his body like rubber, thanks to the Devil Fruit, which is the source of power in this world. But it comes with a major drawback. Anyone who consumes the Devil Fruit will not be able to swim, which is quite a big RIP moment when you're a pirate, sailing through the oceans and all. But anything for superpowers. He teams up with Roronoa Zoro, the fan-favorite swordsman, Nico Robin, Sanji, Nami, Usopp, Tony Chopper, Brook, Frankie, and Jinbei. They're the members of the Straw Hat Pirates. Luffy wants to find the One Piece, which is a legendary treasure left by the Gold Roger, the previous Pirate King. What's insane about One Piece is that despite being huge and a gala of adventures and plenty of characters, nothing is rushed or unplanned. Think of a show like Attack on Titan. You watch it and everything seems planned, and it has 75 released episodes as of now. But having a perfectly engineered plot for almost 1,000 episodes sounds insane, and yet it has been done. On top of that, every character is well-rounded and never forgotten. The power scaling in One Piece also happens to be the best. The show is definitely not for kids though. It is brimming with guns, smoking, and alcohol, which has resulted in the infamous 4 Kids dub, which removes all the blood from the show, replacing Sanji's cigarettes with a lollipop and cutting out entire episodes. Thanks to Funimation taking over, One Piece was remastered in HD, and the massacre had been undone as well. Pokemon 1997. Everyone has heard of Pokemon. Many of us watched it while growing up and followed Ash's journey with the utmost commitment. The anime became a global phenomenon in mainstream pop culture, including anime to millions of children out of Japan and popularizing it. Based on a video game of the same name, Pokemon refers to pocket monsters. These are creatures with powers that human Pokemon trainers must catch and then train for tournaments and championships. If you win a Pokemon League tournament, you can be the Pokemon Master, and that is exactly what the protagonist Ash desires. He gotta catch 'em all Pokemons as well. Ash finds a rival in Professor Oak, who already has 3 Pokemons, Charmander, Bulbasaur, and Squirtle, when they meet for the first time. This is also where Ash meets the fan favorite, star of the show, Pikachu, who has electric powers. The two soon become inseparable. He also finds several other Pokemons and friends along the journey. Water Pokemon trainer Misty and Pokemon breeder Brock join in, and together they become a memorable trio going on adventures together. Team Rocket, the villains, try to thwart their plans. They want Pikachu and other rare Pokemons as well. However, the members of Team Rocket, Jesse, James, and Meowth, always end up losing against Ash and his friends. Even though it is a show mainly aimed towards kids, it takes a lot of risk with characters dying, be it temporarily. James from Team Rocket is frequently seen cross-dressing, which was a bit scandalous to air back then. Anime often tends to have fan service, and Pokemon isn't exempt from it, with girls appearing in revealing swimsuits. However, it was easier to get away with things back then compared to now. Ash has participated in around 9 league championships, and after 21 years of trying to be a Pokemon master, he has finally attained his goal of winning the Alola League. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Neon Genesis Evangelion is considered to be one of the most complex anime of all time, and rightfully so. This Japanese mecha anime is set in a world 15 years following a cataclysmic event called the Second Impact. The show follows teenage boy Shinji, who is made to pilot a giant mech called Evangelion 001 against his will by his emotionally absent father, Gendo Ikari. With every fight against the beings called angels, Shinji's mental state gets worse. He is also annoyed by how empathetic his father is towards the other pilot, Rei Ayanami, while being a cruel and absent father to him. Rei shows little emotion throughout the series, whereas Asuka is bratty, overconfident, and is desperate for acknowledgement. She develops a serious crush on Ryoji, a man who works for NERV, who happens to be several years older than her, and spirals when he rejects her advances. Chief Operations Officer at NERV, Misato Katsuragi, finds herself in a complicated relationship with Ryoji, while fostering Shinji and Asuka at her home. Ritsuko, the head scientist of NERV, is traumatized after watching her own mother self-destruct due to a man, but finds herself doing the very same thing by engaging with Gendo Ikari. Gendo is a man who comes off as cruel, but he was never able to recover from his wife's death, and thus creates Rei Ayanami, and several clones of her using the DNA of Shinji's mother. To be honest, analyzing the psychological elements of this show will probably take you a couple of hours. In the end, Seal's human instrumentality project causes a forced evolution of humanity into one consciousness, so that mankind stops suffering from loneliness. Shinji has an epiphany that breaks down the walls of his negative emotions, uniting with others who congratulate him. The series is rifled with imagery from Christianity, Shintoism, and Judaism. Psychologists like Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung and their works have greatly inspired the show and gave us one of the most brilliant and intense experiences of all time. Slam Dunk, 1993. Before there was Haikyuu and Kuroko's No Basket, there was Slam Dunk. Written by Takehiko, Slam Dunk was serialized in the weekly Shonen Jump and has even been recognized by the Japan Basketball Association for popularizing basketball in Japan. The manga is inspired by the NBA, where we see Sakuragi Hanamichi's journey as a basketball player. He's a red-haired punk who considers himself a basketball genius. He plays for the Shohoku High School basketball team as a power forward and meets several people who fuel his already burning passion for basketball. A man with criminal tendencies, Sakuragi was a trouble seeker. He didn't have much luck with the girls either, and got rejected by his crush over and over again. Following the 50th rejection, where she chooses a basketball player over him, he begins to hate the sport. However, he joins the basketball team in high school after learning that his new crush, Haruko, loves the sport. He begins to play just to impress her and soon realizes that he has a natural flair for strength, jumping, and speed, putting him above his peers. But he lacked technique. As the plot progresses, Sakuragi is challenged as he gradually falls in love with basketball for the sake of the sport itself. The Shohoku team goes on to become an all-star contender in Japan. This anime is a lot more than just the adrenaline of sports. There's love, there's the coming-of-age factor, and then there's the power of friendship, the crutch of any shonen anime. Slam Dunk is also extremely influential when it comes to fashion. Sakuragi and his peers sport the Nike Air Jordan 2 and 6, fueling its already hyper-popular status. The game is detailed and gives the audience a great understanding of basketball by itself. All in all, it is one heck of an experience. TRIGUN, 1998. Cowboy Bebop wasn't the first action space western that did its rounds in 1998. Written by Yasuhiro Naitao, TRIGUN is a space apocalyptic shonen show that follows Vash the Stampede. Vash is a famous gunman hailing from a planet called No Man's Land, or Planet Gunsmoke. He fights bounty hunters who try to kill him, as the bounty on his head was an immense value of $60 billion, with 2 double dollar signs. However, the story does not revolve around Vash killing his enemies, as much as it revolves around the characters and their pasts. It is set in the 32nd century, but why was the bounty on his head so high? Well, Vash had supernatural powers, with which he had accidentally destroyed a city. But here's the catch. Due to retrograde amnesia, he has no recollection of the events, bearing some bits and pieces. Millie Thompson and Meryl stay by Vash's side to minimize the damage attributed to him. However, Vash is a good person who tries to save lives and uses non-lethal force. He is a phenomenal gunfighter, alongside the priest, Nicholas D. Wolfwood. As the story unravels, we get to know more about Vash's past and the history of human civilization on No Man's Land. Naitao was inspired by Hollywood westerns, which led to TRIGUN being conceived, and the series does a phenomenal job at capturing its essence, with the barren deserts, blue skins, and extremely long shots that show the landscape. There is action, and there's a lot of emotions as well. However, the animation isn't quite smooth, and static shots often take up space in the series. Despite its brilliance, TRIGUN is often overshadowed by Cowboy Bebop, due to the latter's excellence in voice acting, music, and animation. But there's no rule that states that you can't enjoy both.
So sorry you caught me on such a bad day. It makes me a real jerk.
YUYU HAKUSHO, 1992. One of the most prominent animes in the roster of classic anime is 1992's YUYU HAKUSHO, an adventure manga series by Yoshihiro Togashi, following the story of Yusuke. Yusuke is a delinquent who gets killed by a car while trying to save a child. He finds himself revived after the son of the ruler of the underworld, Koenma, presents him with a number of tests. He becomes an underworld detective with the objective of investigating apparitions and demons in the human world. Being a shonen anime, you should expect a ton of fights and memorable tournaments, two aspects where Yu Yu Hakusho offers exactly what is needed to be served.
Get your filthy hands off me! Don't you know living humans can't see me?
Togashi took inspiration from several horror films and the occult, along with Buddhist mythology during the conception of the manga. The series prominently delivers with its main character, its ensemble cast, and its villains. The first arc is highly emotional, and Yusuke's introduction is a very out-of-the-box concept, even though absolutely strange and unique concepts are quite commonplace in anime. Unlike other shonen protagonists, however, he hesitates and is unlikely to jump into danger without a reason, but he does it anyway. As the show progresses, we get more of his backstory. We learn about his absent dad and alcoholic mother. We learn about the terrible experiences that he had with his teachers, and how he wants nothing but friends. He finds himself very emotionally attached to Keiko.
I'm coming back. I don't want to see you cry anymore.
The ancillary cast happens to be quite stellar as well, which is an important pillar for an action anime. He becomes friends with a fellow delinquent, Kuwabara, who helps out a dead Yusuke. He also befriends Kurama and Heiya, characters who were initially foes for being demons. But Yusuke forms a relationship following the Dark Tournament. And not to forget the villains, Toguro and Sensui, who spice up the entire premise of the show. Their goals contrast with those of Yusuke's. Sensui seeks to eliminate the world after some disturbing revelations, while Toguro sold his humanity for powers and seeks a fight that can kill him. When they clash with Yusuke, their parallels flash in front of their eyes, cementing the genius that is Yu Yu Hakusho. Rurouni Kenshin, 1996. Rurouni Kenshin is a manga series written by Nobuhiro Watsuki. There's adventure and also romance in this world of 11th century Meiji period. Kaoru Kamiya is a young girl who has taken over the dojo of her late father, but struggles to keep the disciples from leaving. A rumor spreads about Battasai murdering people, as Kamiya Dojo was on the loose. Battasai is the title given to the best warrior of Japan, and in Rurouni Kenshin, it is a title that has been won by killing several people for the revolution that brought down the dawn of the Meiji period. One day, Kamiya accidentally attacks a man named Himura Kenshin, a man with a scar resembling an X on his face. With Kenshin's help, she manages to restore the dojo's reputation, but turns out that Kenshin is the Battasai. However, as he's about to depart, she asks him to stay. The series boasts a fantastic redemption arc for Kenshin, along with immensely good characters, arcs, and a great soundtrack as well. Characters like Yahiko, Sanosuke, Megumi, Sato, and Aoshi fill the episodes with more and more action and suspense. The villains of Rurouni Kenshin act with motivation, and the past of each character is fleshed out perfectly, engaging the audience and causing them to empathize with both sides. The Way of the Samurai is an age-old relic, and the new era has ushered in. But that puts following the warrior code in a frenzy. They become the outcasts of society and try to survive in a new world order. Before every major battle, there is a build-up. The battles lead to terrible violence. The show is not about the way of the warrior. It does not glorify the violence. As we dive deeper into Kenshin's character, we learn about how he got his scar, how he stopped killing, and how he fights only because he has to, and not because he wants to. GTO, Great Teacher Onizuka. This is the story about the 22-year-old virgin, Eikichi Onizuka. He used to be a champ in karate in college, and the leader of a biker gang. With his crude behavior and hair-trigger temper, he could use some character development. At first, he is a sleaze. He peeps under the skirts of girls, he gets a girl to go out on a date, and he tries to sleep with her, but his efforts are foiled when her boyfriend, a teacher, shows up. He is not good looking or young, but he sees the influence he has over the girl when she leaps from the window into his arms. To have the same power over women, Onizuka aspires to be a teacher himself. In this journey, he realizes that he himself has a sense of morality. Shocking. He stops taking advantage of schoolgirls, but he cannot let go of their attractive mothers. He likes teaching as well. He dislikes traditional education, as it ignores the real needs of the students. He often teaches life lessons instead of regular school stuff, and this inspires him to be the greatest teacher ever. As he joins the Holy Forest Academy in Tokyo, he has to tame a class that has driven one teacher to a nervous breakdown and another to a mysterious death. A third one had joined a cult. Being a protagonist and all, of course, he succeeds with his unorthodox tactics. The greatest thing about this series is the sheer character development that it shows, not just for Onizuka, but for several other characters, such as Murei, Kanzaki, and Yoshikawa as well. And there's enough limelight for everyone, which gets the audience emotionally invested in each character. If you want to watch a dubbed version of this show, but are skeptical about it, close your eyes and go for it. It's done with precision, especially with David Lucas voicing Onizuka. Hunter x Hunter, 1999. After the success of Yu Yu Hakusho, mangaka Yoshihiro Togashi returned with the series Hunter x Hunter, which is considered to be one of the best shonen series of all time by many. Gon Freaks is a young boy whose father is a world-renowned hunter. He is basically a licensed professional who pursues rare species, hunts for treasures, and hunts down lawless people. However, he had abandoned him long ago and never returned. Gon decides to become a hunter and find his father. He meets with Hunter Kato and learns about the hunters. He meets friends who help formulate an enigmatic cast. Gon is different from other shonen MCs in the sense that he never aspires to be the strongest. He is optimistic, energetic, and upbeat. And of course, for a contrast, we have the fan-favorite introverted brooding guy, Killua, who rivals then befriends Gon. He hails from a notorious assassin family. Their friend Leorio also wishes to be a hunter for its financial perks so that he can afford medical school. Meanwhile, Kurapika seeks revenge on the Phantom Troop for killing everyone in his Kurta clan for their red glowing eyes. And yet, he finds him to be at odds with himself often. On top of that, you have incredible characters like the iconic Hisoka and Kuroro, making it a monster of a cast. Gon finds himself encountering Hisoka, a transmuter, quite often as the latter begins to take an interest in him. As every verse has a source of power, such as chi, chakra, the dragon fruit, and cursed energy, the one in Hunter x Hunter is Nen, but the action scenes are a lot more than just blasts. The combat styles are diverse, engaging, exciting, and quite creative, but unfortunately, despite being such a phenomenal show, Hunter x Hunter has been on hiatus for a long time now, and no one knows when it will return, or whether it will ever return at all. Ghost in the Shell, 1995. Written by Shiro Masumune, Ghost in the Shell is one of the most popular seinen series of all time, noted for its cyberpunk aesthetic and abnormally brilliant soundtrack composed by Kenji Kawai. It is set in the year 2029 in the city of Nihama in Japan, a fictional city. Public Security Section 9 consists of a task force where professionals solve and prevent crime. As seinen has mature themes, Ghost in the Shell is full of counter-terrorism operations, politics, and corrupt officials. The members of Section 9 possess diverse skills, with which they try to prevent potential problems from escalating.
Police! Everybody get down!
Here, computer technology has advanced so much that several people have cyber brains, which allow them to interface their brains with networks. Some people have full prosthetic bodies, turning them into cyborgs, which is the case for our main character, Major Motoko Kusanagi. After a terrible accident, she required a full-body prosthesis for her cyber brain, but due to being such an advanced cyborg, her brain is susceptible to being hacked. And in this world, there are dangerous hackers who will hack cyber brains to bend their will. Kusanagi, Ishikawa, and the sharpshooter Beito have a task at hand: capture the Puppet Master, an American hacker and terrorist. As the plot unravels, she learns the truth about the Puppet Master being created by the Minister of Foreign Affairs as a hacking weapon. In the end, following a climactic battle between the two, Kusanagi and the Puppet Master merge, giving rise to a new body with a new consciousness. Following the merge, they awaken a unique psyche, and it is almost like a cyborg reproduction, in the sense that Kusanagi and the Puppet Master are the parental units that are sacrificing themselves, while the child contains the data of both its mother and father. And yet, the new being is also completely different from its parents. Serial Experiments LAIN, 1998. Written by Chiaki J. Konaka, Serial Experiments LAIN is a cyberpunk psychological anime series. It follows the story of LAIN Iwakura. LAIN lives in suburban Japan and is a quiet, adolescent high school girl. However, strange occurrences take place, and her classmates begin to receive emails from a classmate who had committed suicide a week previous. LAIN responds to the email and realizes that her world is probably not the only one that exists. The plot deals with her relation to a global communications network called Wired. It is similar to the internet. LAIN reluctantly marches towards a digital martyrdom. The series boasts avant-garde imagery and, being a psychological show, dives into topics revolving around identity and reality. It depicts social alienation and the people's dependability and reliance on the internet, which is very much a reality in today's age and time. After you watch Serial Experiments LAIN, you begin to see the human condition from a whole new perspective, which was Konaka's intention after all. Everyone is connected through communication networks, thanks to the Wired, or in real life, the internet. However, everyone is far away from one another. Maybe it's a good thing, and maybe it's a bad thing. The show depicts the latter, with its introverted main character, her geeky father, snotty sister, and friends who are interested in nothing more than gossip. And yet, it doesn't dive into their characteristics as much, because these tropes are present in our everyday lives. If anything, Serial Experiments LAIN is extremely grounded in reality. Perfect Blue, 1997. Directed by Satoshi Kon, Perfect Blue is based on Yoshikazu Takeuchi's novel Perfect Blue: Complete Metamorphosis. This psychological thriller follows Mima, a girl from a Japanese pop group. She retires as a musician to pursue acting, and she becomes a victim of serial stalking. As terrible murders begin to occur, Mima finds herself losing a grip on reality. Satoshi Kon has always promoted themes where the lines between reality and fantasy are blurred, and similar to Paprika, Perfect Blue is a perfect example of that. Mima's career in a pop group wasn't very eventful. They were only mildly popular. Her agent, Rumi, gets her a small TV role, and she changes her career, but she did have fans. Following the shoot of a rape scene, Rumi gets furious and disgusted. Mima's reputation is also subsequently tarnished, and her fans do not take it lightly. One in particular goes on to post her intimate pictures on the internet, while she finds herself being stalked by a menacing man. The photographer and screenwriter responsible for promoting her new image winds up dead after being brutally stabbed. Mima's pop star self develops an alter ego, haunts Mima in her dreams, hell-bent on destroying the real Mima. As the lines between fantasy and reality are blurred, the questions about Mima's identity arise. Is she just dreaming? Is she delusional? Is she actually being stalked? Is she the one killing? Does she have multiple personalities that she doesn't know about? As her psyche begins to get more and more disoriented, the thrill of the movie catapults. Mima begins to lose herself, but in the end, it is revealed that Rumi is the real culprit. She is the killer, she is the stalker, and she is the one behind the images on the internet as well. However, some loose ends leave much more to be desired. And with that, today's video comes to an end. What do you think about these 90s anime, and which ones are your favorites? Did you enjoy today's video? If you did, don't forget to like and comment on this video. Till next time, have a nice day, and thanks for watching.
I'm powering up!